Hi guys, this is Just Us Two Sun. I just wanted to talk to you about these new fires that are now in Ventura and LA in California. We just had the Santa Rosa fires there, and now we have these fires, and boy oh boy, once again we are seeing homes being burned but no trees. And I think, in the neighborhoods, but I think when they show you the scenes of, the wildfires going across the hills or in the mountains or near the streets, that those fires were created just to show, oh, look, it's a wildfire. But then why would it affect these houses in this way, where just the houses are burning down? And I think that this was, staged event here where only the garage is on fire, and they put it out real quick. Just watch.
In the neighborhood. Ladies, would you be willing to talk to me? No, too much right now. I understand. They've had a difficult morning, but so many residents here, they have evacuated. This is mandatory evacuations in this area, but people have stayed. They've tried to help, and right now you can just see what damage is being done because of these winds. The fire is just so strong, and we have seen so many crews out here, and they're doing everything they can, but with the winds changing, the embers flying, the smoke in the air, it's just constantly a battle for them. We're going to back up a little bit because we are very close, but this is just one of the homes that we've seen being affected here in this neighborhood. We are off of Harding Street, very close, the other side of the canyon. But just heartbreaking situations out here. Fortunately, it doesn't appear anyone is in that home. People have gotten out, but not a lot that can be done right at this moment. I will send it back to you right now. We're going to take a little bit of a step back at this point.
Aaron, this is just heartbreaking to watch this as someone's home is, completely engulfed in flames.
And you see the dangers involved
it's
here
not
for the firefighters and everyone involved. There's a car inside the garage, presumably fuel inside of that.
Yeah, it's a very devastating situation.
Yeah.
Right, devastating situation. Life is more important, though, and thankfully people seem to be getting out, which is the most important thing at this point.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, what happens in a situation like this,
smart meters on the side of the house.
The embers from that home now are
right where the garage is
to another home, and that is the danger. So they're going to do what they can to knock this down as quickly as possible.
Look at that, trying to break down the front door there.
Yeah, they have to still make sure that there's no one inside. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys, please be safe.
Very difficult situations. Thank you, guys. We will. Thank you. Thank you very much.
We also want to give an update about closures, school closures, Los Angeles Mission College main campus.
Okay, so what I'm thinking is that they used directed energy weapons on these houses, or it's the 5G network, or it's the smart meters, and HARP, and a combination of all that. And man, I watched this, it's a 15-minute video, and they'll tell you the gusts and the winds, and they put that fire out there. And I love firefighters. Okay, they have saved my life so many times, and they have saved so many people in my family's life. So I love them. I have great respect for them. Okay, now here's what I wanted to get to. You see that there's a house here that's completely engulfed. Now look at the trees around it. The trees are fine. Now watch while they want to pan to the house that is completely burnt to the ground, just as in Santa Rosa.
This is the other part of that neighborhood. A few moments ago, I showed you one part of the street. Here is another. One home on fire, multiple crews out here working to put it out. And then I want, Sam, if you can swivel around up the street to show a home destroyed right next door, another one on fire just up the way, another one on fire after that. Now, I just spoke to a firefighter. I said, what is the focus of crews in this neighborhood? Obviously putting out the fire. He said, it is to figure out which homes are the most defensible at this point. He said that because the winds are so strong and so quickly changing, they'll start working on one house, and then the conditions will change, and suddenly their work is for naught. And that home is not one that or it catches fire, or the fire becomes stronger, or takes a turn. So they're focused on finding the most defensible spaces and focusing on those homes.
Nature to want to know if your home is okay, if it's still standing overnight. But we will update you. They will make sure that everyone within neighborhoods know when it is time to come back.
I want to get to another part of vent, and there we go, the front of the facade of that home just going down.
Front of that home.
And I also heard that a firefighter said, well, I first heard about this morning on an article that was on my homepage. And one of the firefighters said that the fire was too hot to get near. Sounds just like the Santa Rosa fires, where everything was just too hot. Temperatures way above where they should be. I mean, this is gotta be man-made in some way, because like in the Santa Rosa fires, the trees did not burn. I mean, if they did, they burned from the inside out. They were microwaved. Like when you put something in the microwave, which I don't ever use, it heats it up from the inside out. That's why when you touch the outside, it's still cold to you. Like if you put a burrito in there, you touch the outside, it's still cold. Because it heats up from the inside out. So these houses are being heated up somehow from the inside out. Now, whether it's the smart meters and that they're zapping them and the heat is just going through all the electrical cords through the entire house, that makes sense to me, because if it's going through all the electrical cords throughout the entire house, it seems like it would kind of burn the entire house down. Or it could be microwaved. It could be microwave weapons. So
collapsed completely.
Working on this house, it's clearly a complete loss, and the reason is the fire that
and the fire's on the inside,
downrange, and they've
like,
got to try to
exactly.
What, did people just leave their candles on?
These embers flying through the rest of this neighborhood. As I was saying before, it's a terrible effect.
Notice how that tree is not on fire.
Right next to another, because then it starts to hopscotch.
No, the tree's not on fire, just the stuff around it.
At least 150 structures have been lost in Ventura County. I suspect that number, Lauren, is going to go way up.
This is messed up.
Certainly you would imagine, given all of the homes burning we've seen this morning in apartments. And to your point, Frank, Sam, I want you to show just next door to this home, Sam. Can you show?
And once again, she said homes and apartments. I'm not really hearing anything about the land. I'm not hearing anything about the how many soever acres of forest or land that have been burned down. No, these fires just sparked up in the middle of the night. Once again, in the middle of the night, because we only heard about it this morning.
Oh, to Frank's point, the home to the right of this is completely fine. It's completely untouched. And there's a reason for that. Frank was talking about it. The wind blowing this fire in the direction of this home, you can...
Sure. That house is completely untouched because it was probably some important person's house, right?
Actually see
someone who had some kind of
maybe
pole.
some embers or some burning going on just on the very far reaches of the roof there. But to your point, Frank, one of the focuses the firefighters I've been speaking to is when one structure is really ablaze, and we saw this with entire apartment complexes earlier, they're trying to keep it
entire apartment complexes.
Evacuated. We've seen structures.
Oh, did you see that? Wait, I'm going to go back to that.
Unfortunately, we know.
Did you see that?
Last count. We've seen structures.
Oh, I wish they would only still.
Apartment complexes earlier.
Okay,
they're trying
I gotta
to keep
be ready
it
to
from
pause
spreading
it.
to the
7,000 people evacuated.
Look at that. Does that picture in the background look like a wildfire, or do you see a little bit of space in between each fire? Because what I'm seeing is there's space between each fire. There's not a huge wildfire going through there. No. There's a fire here, there's a fire there. Wherever there's a structure, like a home, of course they'll try and make it look like a wildfire, but to me, this does not look like a wildfire. This looks exactly like the Santa Rosa fires. Exactly like them. House, house, house. Vegetation, perfectly okay. Because what did the New World Order maps say? They wanted to have all this space for plants and vegetation and forests and, you know, very little human use. I made a video about it, but man, I had to take it down. This, I wish you could see my mouse here, but these are all houses on fire, burnt to a crisp, burnt to the ground. And they're starting probably where the smart meters are. Because earlier in the video, as you could see, that fire started right next to the garage. Right in the garage. And I know where I live that all the smart meters are right on the side of the garage. So it starts there and it spreads through the rest of the house, the entire house. And it burns down.
We've seen structures go up in flames live on our air. Unfortunately, we know last count 150 plus structures have been destroyed.
Are they trying to block out the sun too?
They say in this neighborhood, the priority, according to a firefighter I just spoke to, is to figure out which homes are the most defensible. Because the winds change so quickly that they want to make sure they're focusing their resources the best way that they can, given that factor. And you can see how violent these flames are. Take a look. This is another home on this street.
Another home that's going to be burnt. Oh, and look,
this is
that inside the garage, to me, that looks like an appliance, like a washer or dryer. So I thought those appliances were not supposed to burn in a fire. Yet in the Santa Rosa fires, we saw that happening all over the place. You couldn't find anything standing. And they'll show that here in a minute. That one house that they'll pan to is completely burnt to the ground, just like in Santa Rosa. And by the way, I have been trying to find footage on this all day, and it's very hard to find any YouTubers making videos about this, except for one person that I found. It's I think Mia with New Glasses. So she has made a couple videos about it because she actually lives in California, and you know, I hope that you're okay, Mia with New Glasses. And I hope that your house is okay and that you don't have to get evacuated. I mean, that would be terrible for anybody, for all these people whose houses are on fire. I mean, it's horrific. These fires starting in the early morning or late at night, how are you gonna get anything ready to get out? I mean, that just seems, you're in a panic. I mean, you would just want to get out your bodies. You wouldn't have anything. No clothes on your back. You might even forget your purse like people did, or your wallet like people did in the Santa Rosa fires. They just got out with their lives.
not far from downtown. Suburban neighborhoods. In some cases, homes being leveled. Sam, let's swing around. Look just behind you.
Look at this.
There's another home.
Look at that. Look at that right there. Doesn't that remind you of something? That used to be a home. Now look at it. Look at it. It's still on fire in some parts. Now how could a house go down like that? Oh, but the trees are still standing. Oh, we've got a nice tree and bushes in the front yard. And grass on the hill. There. Yeah. So, but our house that house just burned completely to the ground. How could that happen? That's not a natural fire. I've seen a fire. And you know what? The firefighters did a really good job of putting it out. Now someone's built a new house there.
Burned essentially to the ground. Accident in the perimeter
But that won't be allowed.
And this is what it
much
looks like
longer.
at this hour in this neighborhood of Ventura, north of Foothill. Entire sides of homes and roofs, floors, stories collapsing.
Yeah, just collapsing.
It's not stoppable.
Yeah.
The firefighters, despite all of their technology, their
And by the way, when I saw that fire, the house did not collapse. You could see the whole structure was still there, even after they had put it out, which it took hours and hours to put it out. And I know they've got multiple fires, but it looks like just one house right there. But they've got tons of firefighters working these fires in California.
their knowledge of fire science, what they know more than anything is that a wind-driven fire in these conditions, with fuel and dry air, it's not stoppable. And until they get a break from the winds, they'll be able to protect a structure here or there. And as Lauren was saying, they will pick the ones that are the most defensible and do their best. But look at that. Look at the wind that is taking that flame. And we're going to now see this house right next to it catch fire.
As you see these homes totally just falling apart, you can hear it going piece by piece. Sometimes you're not even talking embers as we think. You're talking actually chunks of wood, and they can just fly.
But the trees are not catching on fire? The trees are not catching on fire. Again, the trees are not catching on fire because these fires burn a lot hotter. They're different. They're like, could you put a tree in a microwave? Would it catch on fire? I don't know. But as far as everything that I've seen from the Santa Rosa fires and videos that people have made about what temperatures that certain objects burn at, these temperatures are super high. So the house is burning down before they really have a chance to even try and put it out. From the inside out. And if the tree does catch fire, it's going to be from the inside out. Because it's microwaved. It's directed energy weapons.
For miles, and as you were saying, Frank, it looks like this next house is...
Oh, there it goes. It's on fire.
Yeah.
All right, also,
Oh,
with
there it
this
goes.
happening,
And what's
the schools
burning?
are being...
The metal. That looks like a metal drain pipe from the roof. And that's what's on fire on that house. Not the vegetation around it. You think the vegetation would have gotten caught on fire by an ember a long time ago based on the amount of fire in that house next to it. But no, it's the metal that catches on fire. Nothing on fire in between.
Closed. We need to let you know about dozens of school closures today due to this fire, the Thomas Fire. They include all schools in Santa Paula, Ventura, and Ojai Unified School Districts, all schools in Wainimi and Oxnard Elementary School Districts, also Mesa Union, Briggs, and Mupu School Districts. Ventura Community College is closed, as well as Thomas Aquinas College has been evacuated.
And as I said, they're doing the best they can, but it's just a very difficult situation out here, right when it does seem like things are going their direction. The wind does pick up again. We've seen embers. We've had ash and smoke being blown all over it. Actually, I can see another house. If you follow me this way, Ed, right back this way, there's another right now because things are just moving and changing so quickly as we have been out here. We've been making our way throughout the neighborhood. We are up higher on the hillside now, and this does seem to be the most dangerous area that we've seen as we've made our way up the hillside. But once again, we'll show you what fire crews are doing. Firefighters, as I said, dealing with difficult windy conditions, and the wind has not been letting up much throughout.
Yes, the firefighters are dealing with very difficult conditions. And I don't think there are enough firefighters to get this thing under control. I think there need to be more. I think more men need to stop playing video games and get out there and build some muscle, and go be a fireman. I mean, I love firemen. They're great, strong guys. And, you know, they do a lot. From the littlest thing, like picking up your grandma off the floor when she's fallen, which has happened a lot in our house. Because they are the sweetest guys. They are the strongest guys, and they are the ones who are putting their lives at risk to try and control this, and every day when they're at work. So my heart goes out to the firefighters that are fighting this. Oh man.
The morning. So right now, once again, this is Silmar. If you are in the area, you do live around here, they are telling you, please get out, be safe. A home, very devastating to lose, but it's much better to get out with your life. Here in Silmar, Mary Myers, we'll send it back to you at this point.
With what is called...
Now, I saw a video earlier today where this guy was showing, okay, look at the weather model that they're showing. And you see the part where it's brown in between him and the lower blue, yellow, and red part. See, there was this whole area that should have been getting rain right where the fires are. But for some reason it didn't. And I will try to find that video and put a link in the description for you.
All the futurecast, and we're looking at how the winds are going to be looking at about 2 o'clock this afternoon. And there you can see nothing changes. Everything from the northeast. Those are hot, dry Santa Ana winds.
So the fires are going to continue.
The heat won't be that much of a factor today. We're going to be in the 70s, but we just continue on the dry side. There is the picture at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Just about everywhere, except for this pocket right here, we do have some extremely strong winds. Anything in the purple areas up in the mountains and deserts. And then when we head further up in through Santa Barbara and Oxnard, Ventura, where they're having those...
This is just one neighborhood. We have seen at least 2 to 3 others with home after home burned or entire apartment complexes burned, if not to the ground, nearly there. That is the very latest from here in Ventura.
Entire apartment complexes?
It is almost unbelievable to see these scenes. And Lauren, you're standing right there in front of a house that is fully engulfed in flames. There's nothing to fight.
And look at right next to her, to the left,
that is completely devastated.
or to her right, there is a whole house that is completely burnt down to the ground.
But look at that. The fire.
And then another one. That one was, look, this one that they're focusing on right now is the one that was previously whole, and now you can see that object in the garage area that looks like it used to be an appliance. It's the only thing standing in the garage, and they're still trying to put the fire out. But you know what? It's burning too hot. This is not natural. This is not a natural wildfire at all. Not at all. And that house right next to it is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine.
Homes that they can against.
And yet the tree is standing, and the trees in between the house are standing.
Homes have been affected or destroyed.
So how does that work?
It's 150 structures have been destroyed in the Thomas fire.
That
and
doesn't
as you can
work.
see there, that's one example.
That's not a
one
wildfire.
house completely burns to the ground, and then their neighbor.
That's a directed
the house is
energy
standing,
weapon
and it appears to be fine.
fire.
Firefighters doing all they can to make sure that that stays that way.
Skyline Drive area. And you can see
Once again, you can see the vegetation blowing in the wind.
Through the air. It literally obscures the sun there.
This is disgusting.
Ventura on the right side from the air. Elizabeth
disgusting.
Espinoza is also in Ventura County. She's in Santa Paula last we checked.
County Fire Department as well as the U.S. Forest Service responded.
Okay, you know what?
At this point in time, the fire's grown to over 4,000 acres, and it's still growing, as you can see, with the wind gusts that are currently facing us here, approximately a couple miles away from the fire. You can only imagine the impact this weather is having on the flaming front. LA County resources are committed. We have over 400 firefighters. We have over 50 fire engines assisting within the communities. There have been numerous structures threatened with reports of structures on fire, and specifically for LA County, that's within the Cagle Canyon and Lopez Canyon communities.
Good morning. As Chief Richardson stated, right now we're in a unified command posture with LA County Fire Department, Angeles National Forest, Los Angeles Police Department, and the Los Angeles County Sheriff Department. Presently, right now, our evacuation centers are as follows. Silmar Recreation Center, Sunland Senior Center. All small animals can be evacuated to those centers. Large animal evacuation will be at Pierce College, LA Pierce College in Woodland Hills.
Okay, on this particular fire, we do have aircraft that were working initially early this morning. You can tell the winds have picked up. We're five hours plus into this firefight. The winds, high wind speeds that we're experiencing impact the...
See, it started early this morning, mostly when people were sleeping, right? So how are they going to be able to get out of their house in time? With warning. Or without warning. Maybe they didn't.
Operation of our helicopters, our rotorcraft, as well as the super scoopers. Again, keeping in mind, we want to provide a safe operation for our pilots and for those on the ground, and keeping in mind that weather is going to dictate how and when we're able to utilize the aircraft.
Los Angeles, this is the KTLA 5 Morning News and our continuing coverage of the fires burning in Southern California.
If you are just joining us, fire emergency.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right here, and look at that. I wish you could see my mouse, but if you look at the picture on the right, don't those look like houses? Okay, those look like houses to me, and you can see that there is vegetation in between them. Okay, there's vegetation in between them. The houses are just, bam, sparking up on fire. Oh, that one started in the garage on the right. Yeah, that just happened to start in the garage, but it was a wildfire, right? So how could it start in the garage? That doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense how a fire could start in a garage when it's a wildfire.
In Southern California, thousands of people evacuated, multiple homes and structures destroyed. I'm Jessica Holmes.
Multiple homes and structures destroyed. Same thing like we heard with the Santa Rosa fires. And when you look at the right, you can clearly see that that's home, 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 home. A bunch of homes. Lots of homes are being destroyed. But when is this going to end? Is this the elite's plan to destroy the homes, the single-family homes, by the way? Not to mention mansions. So the single-family homes are being destroyed, just like in Santa Rosa. And those people couldn't even go back to their house to see what became of it, to look for anything. They had to have hazmat people come by, because of course it was way too hot a fire, and it melted everything. It melted cars, it melted aluminum, it melted all kinds of different metals. It melted terracotta, which is made of clay, which you put in a furnace to heat, to make it solid. So, that doesn't really make any sense. If terracotta can be burned, then and I mean, these houses just burnt down. Everything burned down to the ground. They said that there was like 2 inches or maybe 2 feet in some places, but probably 1 foot of rubble, mostly. The chimneys stayed, some of them. This is just so disturbing that the elite would go to such lengths to get rid of us in the middle of the night or in the early morning, so that you're all groggy in the morning, or you've just gone to bed and there's no time to grab anything. You just got to get your family and run. So then you're homeless. You're homeless. Unless you've slept through the night and you didn't know the house was on fire. And then you don't wake up. You go to sleep until the kingdom. And when the kingdom comes, these evil people who are doing this are going to be burned themselves. So it's kind of ironic that they're trying to burn the good people now, but then they're going to have their turn, and they're not going to have a second chance. I can tell you that much right now.
Buckley, you're looking at both the Creek Fire in the burning in the Sylmar area in Los Angeles County, the Thomas Fire in the hills of Ventura County between Santa Paula and the city of Ventura.
The Thomas Fire is the much larger and destructive of the two, burning some 45,000 acres. There is massive loss of property, and tens of thousands of people are evacuated.
Homes also burning in the Creek Fire located in the Sylmar area north of the 118 freeway. That fire has consumed, we now know, more than 4,000 acres. Some homes have burned. Evacuations underway there as well.
In the neighborhood. Ladies, would you be willing to talk to me now?
Okay, guys, so these are not natural fires. The Santa Rosa fires were not natural fires. Sure, they burned some land to make it look that way, but when you look at the fires taken from a helicopter above, you can just see that it's just house, 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 house. And all the vegetation in between is perfectly fine. It's not spreading from house to vegetation to other house. I mean, when houses are this close together, as in this picture right now, yeah, sure, of course, the fire embers are going to land on that house. But the firefighters are there to put it out. Or the embers will just blow out because there's lots of, I don't know, I mean, just think about it. These are not natural. These are not natural. So look into it, you guys, and hope you stay safe. All those who are in California, NoCal, SoCal, I hope you guys are safe. I hope you can find somewhere else to go, and please don't let yourself go to a FEMA camp. Okay, that would be probably the worst thing that you can do. Alright, this is me signing out. Have a good night. Peace.